All right, welcome in. The Cowboys just got a clear sign. It is time to bring in a cornerback. We're going to talk about the breaking news we had today at Cowboys training camp that put us on that conclusion. A knowledge bomb follow-up on why Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer is so hell-bent on making this Cowboys team more disciplined. Had another injury scare. All-Pro Cowboy had to leave practice early, and a Cowboys Pro Bowl tackle coming back for a tryout this week. Takeaways from the top plays as well. Let's do this, Jimmy.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
All right, welcome in. I'm Gavin Dawson from 105.3 The Fan, home of the Cowboys, 2 to 7 every weekday. And he is the former all-academic SEC lineman from Kentucky, New Bear Lesniewski. How the hell are you, buddy?
Well, I'm pretty pumped. I'm 72.5 and sunny. I'll take this.
Oh, it has been beautiful in Oxnard, California. But beautiful is not what my reaction was to our first topic of the night, as Zach and Eric, the Nosebleed Boys in the G-Bag Nation, half the show, they were wireless on the practice field during the G-Bag Nation 2 to 7 weekdays. We do it every time we come out to training camp. Well, they spotted Savone Revels' dad, and he clarified exactly what the pronunciation of his and his son's name was, junior and senior. It's Savone Revel. But they asked him, when he's going to come back, and how he's doing, if he's going to practice soon, because that's what the reports had been. When we got to camp, we heard he's going to practice at some point, and then even yesterday we heard, hey, he might be ready for week 1. Well, Savone Revel Sr. said, not going well. We don't want to push it. Had a setback, and we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks now, which puts you either like week 3 or week 5
Or pup.
Yes. So, hey, not the biggest deal. Tremendous believer in his talent. Excited about Savone Revel's long-term career. But, here we were under the assumption that Revel would probably be ready for week 1. You hope for the best with Diggs. And Kalen Carson wouldn't be hurt. Like, Kalen Carson's a candidate to be a starter in this secondary. It was between him and Elam on the outside opposite Bland. But, I think you could come into camp thinking maybe we don't have to add one, but now it's very clear they do.
Excuse me. We were just going through the P's and Q's of it with all the red ink, and all of a sudden we're starting to talk about undrafted free agents. We're talking street free agents. We're talking about, guys who are not in the room, guys who are not in this town, guys who are not on this team. And it's actually a really fascinating proposition because the guys are starting to come off the free agent list. We've been talking about Hilton, we've been talking about Gilmore, we've been talking about, Bradbury, Fuller. The most intriguing one might be, if he can clear the neck, Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah, and he's the guy who's probably projected to make the most.
Right.
I think his projected salary about $11 million, and I think his injury situation and his contract demands is why he is still available. I don't think it's realistic to believe the Cowboys could go out and drop $11 million on a free agent right now. But if it came down, not to quite half of that, but maybe 7 or 8, and incentive laden if you play this many games, if you're this good. I think we're just going to have to see how the market plays out for him. But right now, I would assume the Cowboys will probably be in the mode of looking for that 33, 34-year-old guy who's just looking for a last contract and a chance maybe to win.
Are you saying that because you're in complete, agreement with and in favor of and believe it's going to get done, Deron Bland?
I think Deron Bland's going to get done. Stephen Jones told us or indicated that heavily on the show the other day. So, and I think that's going to be a big contract, 4 years, $90 million. So I don't think they're going out looking to spend on another, guy. I think this has to, probably look like a 1-year deal, with a guy who they believe has more in the tank than what he showed last year. So his market's down.
I wonder, all these guys have different concerns, whether it's their age and their efficiency, and then the dollars are probably the three big. That's the Bermuda Triangle of the Bermuda Triangle, and being out on Revis Island, if you will. So the Asante Samuel Jr. thing is really fascinating because he's clearly the youngest of anybody that we're going to talk about, and he's also the most expensive. But because of the neck injury, when you start talking about incentive-laden things or maybe guarantees, I wonder if he's a guy, because he's still so young, if he were to do a 3 year deal and then the neck is good, then he's betting on himself, taking a guarantee, and at the same time entering free agency again before he turns 30.
Yeah. And if he looks at the market and doesn't find anything solid, I don't know that you can find a better opportunity. You can build your brand with the Cowboys, and there is a chance to come in and right away and start and maybe be a big part of the solution.
I wonder if you do a 1 year prove it deal then, even for a young guy, because you're talking about a vet, because you're buying time to get through this season, and we're not even talking about plug and play. We're talking about just not having to be down on the taxi squad. If you look at someone like Asante Samuel Jr., and you do a 1 year prove it deal, even if it's for way below market value, you come out and you ball out, you can go get the mega deal next year from someone else.
Absolutely can. There's other players out there, and the good news is there are a lot more players than jobs right now.
Yeah.
Like, you look at NFL team building, they're all trying to go young and find starters that are going to be on their rookie deals. So there's dozens of guys I think that are out there, and maybe you pick up for a mill or two.
I mean, look at what happened with the running back room. Javante at 3, Sanders at 1.1337.
Yeah.
We were surprised how little Chubb got from the Texans, but I mean, Chubb was still out there. And again, we're talking about age, we're talking about effectiveness, efficiency, we're talking about injury. So the bottom line, I think, is a lot of teams, the worry is because there's a known entity, meaning the Cowboys need a corner.
Yeah.
That the player and the agent can kind of dictate terms.
Well, and let's talk about to the extent they do need a corner, New Bear, because this is getting kind of ridiculous. Maybe you've gotten lucky here and actually hit on Kaiir Elam, like a strange set of circumstances. It's his last chance. He's an incredible talent. It's a better scheme for him. Perfect storm for Kaiir Elam to be as good as your average starting corner, or maybe just slightly below average. That'd be a huge win to get Kaiir Elam in that situation. But what about the slot? And what about your depth? If you have a guy go down right now,
undrafted college free agent.
Yes, that's what you're putting out there, which is just barbecue chicken, dude. Burnt toast all over the football field. Will get you destroyed. Will lose football games. Will get you run all over because you got to, constantly be dropping safeties and linebackers to hell.
Well, and the other part of this is you're assuming that after 6 weeks of PUP, multiple ACL, chondral graft, you're assuming that 6 weeks and you're good to go. If Revels' dad is willing to go on the record and say, what did he say the pronunciation was?
Savone Revel.
Revel.
Yeah.
Revel.
Hey, I messed it up all day.
My goodness.
I think I finally got it down after
Revel.
about the 20th.
Yeah, well, because we want to revel in him getting healthy
Yes.
and then going out and making plays. That's easy. Okay.
Like
But what you're hoping or assuming then is that after 6 to 8 weeks he's going to be good. There's going to be a ramp up phase.
Yeah.
You're not going to be ready to play 60 snaps. You're not going to be ready to go. So, but the one point that I wanted to make before we talk about any of the guys or any of the what might be any of the hypotheticals is that the cornerback room is quickly becoming the same situation as Tyler Smith. I do not want Tyler Smith playing tackle. I want him to be the best left guard in football, and then you solve the problem at tackle. Bland, do we believe he's an outside corner? We want him to play nickel. So now the conversation becomes, do you just say Bland is our nickel and we're going and signing a tall, long, veteran outside guy, whether it's Gilmore or whomever you like?
It's tough, dude, because he's so good at nickel, but he really only played it for parts of a season for the Cowboys. He was an outside guy in college. He's been really good. So how do you go to a guy that can be an outside guy and ask him to play a more difficult job for less money on the inside?
Yeah.
That's a difficult negotiation. And I think you get him locked in, and then you have it be more of a fluid room depending on who you draft. But I think right now, because of what he's done on the outside and making all pro, you're going to have to pay him as an outside guy, and then you can be flexible.
Well, I mean, we're about to bitch, moan, and complain when they finally release the details of the Mike Hilton Miami deal. Yeah. Because that is potentially the type of move, whether you like him at his age or not, and again, it'll be dependent on the years, the dollars, the guarantees. But when we start talking about solving problems, I want to take the guys that I have and what they do best, and then go find answers to the holes around them, as opposed to playing this game of musical chairs where we now have two problems where we could just have one.
Yeah, and speaking of the two problems, you got two injured guys. Diggs, I don't know, is he going to be back at Thanksgiving? Is he going to be back at the end of September? If you're not practicing right now, you mentioned the chondral graft, which is basically the new microfracture. In my mind, that's a 12-month injury, and then another 12 months to get back
total,
to the athlete that you were. So I can't expect Diggs to be good at any point this season. I can hope for it.
I was really excited today watching. Micah looks fantastic. The second he signs, it is just going to be fireworks. And you can look at him on the prowl, just kind of like biting his lip, biding his time. Like he's ready to rock. It's just a matter of how much is it going to cost.
And he's going to take a ton of pressure off the backhand.
He was doing some really fun stuff today. Diggs was working out on the side. He was doing the long pulley, the long lever stuff, and then he took off running and made some one-handed picks, and it looked like he was going maybe even three-quarter speed. And at the end, he did a really funny thing where he ran the length of the field and flipped into the end zone because he was on the short side, away from the team practicing on the far side, and gave everybody a good laugh. Hit that Reggie Bush,
right on,
front flip into the end zone.
So that back's doing okay, huh?
Well, and so that yes, but what was interesting that I noticed about Diggs today was he was exhausted. So that's what I'm talking about is the football shape stuff. So Revel, if he's good, if he's healthy in 6 to 8 weeks, he's still got to ramp up to be able to play 60 plays. And what was clear with Diggs today, I thought he was maybe having a problem with the brace, or he wasn't liking the way something was fitting. He was trying to buy himself another couple of breaths in between reps.
Okay, that's great insights. As we're live in Oxnard here at the Ventura Holiday Inn, just 5 miles from
right off the marina,
the Cowboys practice facility, and had a great time. And I just love listening to New Bear's insights about what he's able to observe while I'm doing the G-Bag Nation. Okay, up next here on How About Wow, Warren Sharp did a report on penalties today, and in last night's show,
I thought you were just messing with me.
What do you mean?
Well, you say things like you make up names, be like, these are the free agents we could sign, and they're not even real people. When you threw this 4 years in a row?
Oh, yes, this Warren Sharp post, unbelievable today. Cowboys over the last 4 years under Mike McCarthy, number 1 penalties, number 2 most penalty yards, number 4 most first downs given away. Number 1 defensive offside, number 2 offensive holding, number 4 neutral zone infraction, number 4 most unnecessary roughness. Schotty's looking at this. This is a coach that's got his eye on all the details, and no, he's got to get this discipline right. I know you might have felt like I glazed Schotty a little bit too much. I'm calling him the coach to bring the Cowboys out of this 3-decade depression, but I believe in this guy. And, based on the player reaction today, you had Dak Prescott at the podium, echoing Schotty's messages. He said Osa Odigizua broke the team down yesterday after practice and had a tremendous message about, guys, we got to be more disciplined. Right. And so you have defensive leaders, offensive leaders. CeeDee Lamb talked about this yesterday. I think they're going to get this resolved, and it's going to be another reason that Schotty might win Coach of the Year.
I like, over the course of the past couple of days, you're not seeing a lot of fumbled snaps. You're not seeing a lot of, clear just, oh, hey, I'm offsides 3-4 times in a row while we're doing one-on-one pass rush, or I'm false starting because I'm, getting tweaked by that guy who's jumped offsides maybe to mess with me. There has been in both individual settings, group setting, and then in the full team, very, very, very impressive structure. Very, very impressive intent. We talked about the tempo yesterday. I think I challenged yesterday conditioning within a practice into conditioning as punishment. How are they going to respond today? And I know we're going to get into some of this when we go through some of the clips specifically, but there were some guys out there today who looked like maybe running in quicksand yesterday, or maybe yesterday should have been a Veterans Day off, who they looked like completely different people today. So the team is clearly responding both to his message and the challenge that he's giving them day in and day out.
Donovan Ezeraku, by the way, joined us, the rookie edge from Boston College, and we talked to him about running. He said, y'all haven't seen it until yesterday, but they were running in OTAs. They were running in minicamp, and he said they're very confident that while they might have looked exhausted at the end of that, they are in very good shape already.
Yeah, it was the trainers working with the injured guys today, watching, guys like Deuce Vaughn. We talked about Diggs. There's a handful of guys out there doing side work. They were really getting after it and meticulous, very footwork specific relative to the injury that you're dealing with, and the different at this level, you have every tool at your disposal. You got every toy, you got everything. And quite frankly, having been in some of those situations, when there's another grown man yanking you around with bands or ropes or whatever, and you're trying to come back from an injury or fight through an injury, it's miserable, miserable experience. Better when it's 72-5 than 105. But what I noticed today was that these guys, even the guys who are injured who aren't able to ramp up to where they're going to go, like watching Deuce Vaughn work today, that dude is putting in work.
I love it. I love it. I also have some more context because Shotty was asked about him going off yesterday on the players and this whole thing of the accountability, kicking a guy to practice for throwing a punch. Clarence Hill asked him about the gassers and if he would ever run with the team. And he said, I usually do, but I was pissed. And then he said, you can take the road of, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Screw that. We're trying to win a world championship. I get on the coaches as well, not just the players. That's a real leader.
Yeah, well, and what was really interesting about the assistant coaches, and as you're going through, watching Eberflus run all the way across the field to catch up to guys, because he's doing some instruction specific with a guy or with a group, and then he's got to go join the full defense or a larger group from individual. That dude was booking to get over to the two-man sled, and when they were over in that corner, they were getting after it, and not just moving the sled. It's rep after rep after rep. I mean, they're working conditioning into the drills. They're not just doing a drill, moving on, doing a drill, moving on. They're really getting after it, and it's very physical, and it's very impressive to see guys not losing technique as they're starting to get tired.
Okay, let's move along here on How About Wow up next on the podcast. By the way, please please sub if you have not. That would be outstanding. Maybe hit the bell button. But we're getting some tremendous amount of views here, so we want to thank everybody that's been watching us, and we're really excited about covering the Cowboys here for you and giving you the kind of discussions that you deserve as a fan that you're looking for on YouTube. And if you could subscribe, that'd be awesome. I'll beer you next time I see if you do it. Okay. Lyle Collins workout tomorrow. The other day when we thought Tyler Guyton might be coming out, you thought of, should we go to Tyron Smith? I thought that was a brilliant thought. But here's Tyron Smith's former right tackle counterpart, Dak Prescott's best friend,
right?
Louisiana guy, great tackle at LSU, was having a breakout pre-COVID. And then I think the COVID thing kind of put him on a bad path. Then he had an injury and he never got back. He was borderline pro. He was borderline all pro. I think he made the Pro Bowl the year before COVID. And when he came back, it was like, wow, he's not the same player at all. Never recovered. Ends up going to Cincinnati. Practice squad in 2023. He retired. Lyle Collins retired. He did not play at all in 2024. So,
excuse me.
It's funny. He's Daks' friend. I guess he told Dak's daughters, "I'm going to come in here and protect your daddy."
Yeah.
So I love the vibes, and if that's all that's for, Dak's getting a friend back because he lost Zeke and he's getting older, so bring him in and he'll be a practice squad guy that hangs out with the other offensive linemen, kind of like a player buddy. I don't know, player coach. But I am intrigued because he's so big and athletic.
Yeah.
What if he's been staying in shape? And it's a mystery to us right now. So he's going to come in and work out on this Friday tomorrow, and we'll be reporting on it as soon as we know.
The first thing I thought about when I heard this even being a thought that becomes part of the process of them figuring it out if he can play or not is all of Dak's work off the field with the mental health stuff. I wonder, so much of, we're so far past COVID that we try to kind of just almost forget about it. We're block it out. What are the Navy SEALs? Ignore and override, right? Not that it didn't happen, but just that we want to live in 2030. We want to see what's down the road. And he's one of those guys where when you look back, there's so much to like, and you wonder if coming out of something like that and the experience that he had within the pandemic was something that really just it was more of a mental, emotional, spiritual journey that he needed to go on.
Yeah, and we didn't always think that he cared enough about football to really grind, but he was still young when he stepped away. So a year away from the game maybe gives you the perspective. Now you're approaching 30,
sure.
You're evolving, and absolutely he wouldn't be the first guy to be like, man, what was I thinking? I still love this game and I'm going to get in shape and go kick butt. But, we really weren't sure if after the injuries that he had, if he was even capable body-wise of getting back to that player that he was.
Well, just to put a bow on this is the exactly, whether it works out or not, whether it's just a good game to Dak or not, this is exactly what I'm talking about, though, because this is throwing all of your oil on the fire that is the left tackle. And if instead of kicking Tyler Smith out and having to solve two problems, we're going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at the one we know we have.
All right, up next here on How About Wow, Tyler Smith injury scare. We noticed early in team that after the first series or first couple of reps, Tyler Smith, the all-pro left guard, wasn't in there. It was Brock Hoffman and some other guys. And then we got video of him walking off, so that became an instant thing. But we quickly got clarification that he's looking at knee tendonitis. Now, knee tendonitis may be a little bit more relevant this week because that's why Nate Thomas had to miss his entire rookie
Whole year.
But it's rare that tendonitis is that bad. This is probably 48 hours of getting off it and icing it, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, and you're taking every precaution because this is the guy. And as we're going through a contract negotiation here as well, let's be mindful of the fact that there are many, many, many factors that are going to go into who gets to spend extra time in the ice bath.
Yeah. And hey, let's just say this: if Tyler Smith wants the next month to get ready, I'm fine with that. I don't need to see him practicing anymore.
Well, the football shape thing aside, like to your point about mental reps or trusting him to know and do everything he needs to be able to step out there and get things done. The one thing that has been really, really interesting about this Cowboys camp, probably more than anything that I've ever seen, is the amount of rotational pieces that are getting reps and potential guys where whether you're talking about the building depth conversation or even in a disaster planning mode where, if Tyler Smith were to go down, that'd be a catastrophic thing.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, okay, whether you're RG3, not the former quarterback, but right guard 3, or, cornerback 5, or whether you're a potential practice squad guy, you're one play away from being on the active roster. You're one play away from being in the game plan. You're one play away from, it's not just the backup quarterback. This goes all the way across the depth chart throughout the entire roster.
How about this Pickens touchdown? Little toe in the back.
So the one that was viral first was the bomb because everyone wants to see the big ball. This particular, I don't think people understand how good of a receiver, like the Tony toe tap stuff, like he's not just 6'4", 210, 447, and I can go into the matrix. He is a professional wide receiver. When he is focused and locked in, there are things that he can do, spatial awareness in particular, that other folks just can't. And at the same time, there were plays in Pittsburgh where he missed touchdowns because he wasn't focused. He wasn't locked in. When he's locked in, he's as good as anyone.
It's incredible, and I think this is exactly what Dak Prescott needs because you can literally throw it behind him up here, and he'll just jump back and reach back in one hand and twist while he's jumping
He's
back.
a glitch in the game.
Incredible. I think he's Spider-Man, I asked him if he was born like Spider-Man or if he had to work on this. He said it was a combination. Okay, another Javonte Williams run. Is he your guy? We had Nick Harris start Telegram on today. He's predicting Jaden Blue. I think it's maybe Blue as the season goes on, but maybe he can't handle enough of the carries.
Yeah.
I'm actually coming around. I think it's Javonte Williams with Jaden Blue, and I don't know about Miles Sanders. I guess he's got some knee stuff too, and he was out today.
Yeah, that was just a matter of time. I mean, if we're going to be honest about anything in this conversation, it's that the hip bone's connected to the leg bone, and when you start talking about all the soft tissue, I mean, he basically hasn't played in 2 years. And there's a lot of things that happened in Carolina that were ugly and that weren't. Carolina hasn't been kind to anybody for a couple of years. But Miles Sanders' body might not just be there. And that was the question about Javonte. Can he get back? And he's saying and all the right things. And, I'm 2 years removed, and there's the math of it. Just like you were talking about the chondral graft, the 12 plus 12. Let's not forget Bermuda Triangle. You talk about multiple ligaments and cartilage, and then coming back from that when you already weren't a burner and you were a through contact guy and you don't trust your ability to get to that contact, get through that kind, emerge safe.
Yeah.
And what I love about the if it's Williams and Blue or some combination of two of them, we talked about Turpin and even CeeDee Lamb, taking a few carries here and there. But what I love about Williams right now is the juice. It's one cut, it's jump cut, and he's not messing around. He's getting through the hole and he's running away from guys.
Can that hold up all year? I don't know.
But that's the thing. The juxtaposition of them is that it wouldn't have to.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're splitting carries, I think to begin the year, though, it makes a lot of sense. You just used the word trust. I think the coaching staff is going to trust that Javonte Williams can pass protect better than anybody else, maybe all of them put together.
I'm never going to get tired of saying this, though. Jaden Blue can't be a guy who every time you come in, the ball's going to him, but you also know that he's not going to pass block. He's not even a part of the protection because you can scheme against that. It's the same way that they want to dictate to the defense that this is a guy who can run wide receiver routes.
Yeah.
Because he can and is likely going to do that, the defense, the blitzes that they send become flow off of that, and now you got free runners hitting Dak.
Is a hack, let me ask you this as a question, not a statement. Isn't it to put Hunter Lipke in there with Blue? Now you can use all the Blues running and take advantage of Lipke's blocking.
Yeah, but you're talking about dot in the eye, right? We're not talking about 3rd and 7. We're talking about first down, second down.
I
play
want to
action.
get creative. I don't want the opposition to know when Hunter Lipke comes in that he's only run blocking. I want to get him involved in pass pro. I want to put him in routes.
Kyle Juszczyk.
He's so versatile.
Okay, so everything that we're talking about here comes back to where this part of the conversation started, which is Javonte having juice. Javonte being able to run some variations of the screens and the swing screens, slip screens, so that he's not just a check down guy. We talked about that yesterday. Yesterday, Dak looked slow. Today, he looked fast. Javonte was fast both days. You start stacking days where you look good on tape, and then you show up on Sunday and start doing the same thing. Blue is going to always be fast. Question of can he block? Can you trust him, right? Javonte right now is finally trusting himself.
Yes, you don't need Lipke when you have Williams in. But if you want to involve Blue more, maybe a way through that is to get some help in the pass pro game. Final play to look at, Kevontae Turpin. Is this a reverse screen?
So this is probably the sexiest play of the day, in as much as George Pickens running by guys or jumping over guys or CeeDee Lamb doing the same thing. It looks cool, but that's just my guy is better than you. This is one in the script that they whatever highlighter shot he liked that day, this thing was, circled, stamped, there's a sticker on it. Like, this is the one similar to some stuff they tried to run yesterday that they had to dirt. When you draw it up like this and it works like this and it literally looks like a video game in real life, it's about as good as it gets for this offense.
It is, man, and it's looking precise. In a game, I would be terrified that a pick six was going to happen on this play. But as long as it's not a wide receiver or a running back throwing that thing back, I trust Dak.
Yeah, as long as it's not Keenan Allen in Week 18.
Right? Okay, we're having a ton of fun out here in Oxnard. Again, if you're liking the video, go ahead, hit that like, subscribe to the show, because we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back all next week covering preseason action, and then before you know, it'll be
Hall of Fame game.
Let's go. Okay, back tomorrow. Till then, how about wow?